Hey, this is Chuck Liddell. It is September 11th, 2024. We're at the library, and today I'm going to talk about celebrities who are connected with the island. But last time, 2 weeks ago, I had a long list of all of the firsts and all of the phenomenal things that were mentioned in the movie, or not the movie, but the song, the California song, "I Love You, California." Catalina is actually mentioned in the original. So anyway, this is just what I went through with that. But there were two things that I forgot to mention that I want to mention now. The first one was we had a carrier pigeon service that goes back to the Civil War. A lot of people don't know, but the Civil War barracks down at Two Harbors was for the Union troops during World War II. There's only been 2 times that the island has been cut off from the mainland and nobody was allowed to come. That was the Civil War and World War II. So they had the carrier pigeon service during the Civil War, which was they were only there for about a year. Then they started it up in 1894. And that was the only way that people could communicate with the mainland. Now, they could do it on a boat, but the boats didn't come on a regular basis, maybe 1 or 2 times a week. So if you really had to get a message over to the mainland, you'd have to wait for the boat to take 3 hours, and on their boat schedule. So they had a carrier pigeon from 1894 to 1899. And then soon after that, they started the wireless service. And that's how we were able to communicate. That we were the first time that they ever used wireless to communicate was here on Catalina Island. So anyway, I'm just picking up some of the things that I left off of last time. Okay, now we're talking about Mickey Rooney. So you saw him in the movie when he was 14 years old. Believe me, a lot of things happened after that. It must have been. There's an expression: "Watch out what you wish for, because it might come true." Well, I was on the board of directors of the museum at the time, and I had a brilliant idea. Why don't we have Mickey Rooney come over here to the island, do a benefit for us, because he had made more movies than any other actor or actress on the island. He had been in Captain's Courageous in 1936, Slave Ship in 1936, the Andy Hardy series, You're Only Young Once in 1937, All Ashore in 1953, and Platinum High School in 1960. So I had the brilliant idea, let's invite Mickey Rooney over, do a benefit. Well, he came. By the way, he was born in 1920, so you get kind of an idea. Now, he came over to do this benefit in 2004. So he was 84 years old when he came over. He came over with his 8th wife. Her name was Jan Chamberlain. He came over with his 8th wife and her son, his stepson. He had 8 wives, including Ava Gardner, which is his first wife. Now, of all of his wives, his last wife, Jan Chamberlain, in fact, when she died, she should have been canonized immediately. The Pope should have said, "We don't even have to go through a process. You are a saint," just to be married to Mickey Rooney, because she was married more than all of his years combined. So again, he only averaged 4 years for each of his of his wife, so you can get a pretty good idea of how many years that was. 4 times 7 is 42 years he was married, but to 8 different wives. Now, so I don't know if you ever saw the movie Night at the Museum. Okay, he played one of the security guards. When they played it over here, I actually stood up in the middle of the film and yelled to everybody, "That is not acting. That is Mickey Rooney." So if you see the movie, you can see it on YouTube or whatever. Look up Night at the Museum. He plays one of the 3. Dick Van Dyke's on one of them, and I forgot who the third one is. That is not acting. That is Mickey Rooney. So if you want to know how really irritable he was. So anyway, I was so excited. We had a Rolls Royce at the time. This was, as I told you, this was in 2004. We went down to the helicopter. He came over with a helicopter with his wife and his stepson, Chris. And I was so excited, Mickey Rooney is here. I got him in my Rolls Royce, drove him into town, took him to his hotel. I think he was staying at Hamilton Cove at the time. And I said, this is going to be so phenomenal. Well, right away I realized we had a problem. They were doing a reception in town at one of the nicer homes here. And everybody was invited to come and meet Mickey Rooney. He didn't want to talk to anybody. And so I was sitting next to him, and somebody came up to him and said, "What is your favorite movie?" He's made over 300 movies over his lifespan. In fact, he used to do a movie series called Mickey Maguire. That was his name before he became Mickey Rooney back in the silent era. So he's made a lot of movies. So this man came up, and that's a normal question you ask. What was your favorite movie? He looked at him and he said, "Well, I've made over 300 films. What the, you tell me what my favorite, I don't, give up." And I'm sitting there thinking, oh gosh, don't tell me we're starting like this. I mean, already I knew we were in trouble. So anyway, so I'm going to tell you some of the fun things that I had with Mickey Rooney. We had him here for 3 days. I was responsible for him for 3 days. The first thing we did is we went up to the next day, we went up to the airport in the sky in a bus, just for the board of directors and some of the celebrities. And one of them was the Bruce Bellin, who wrote the 4 Preps. He's the one who wrote 26 Miles, now it's our theme song. So anyway, we're going up there, and I'm sitting next to Mickey Rooney, and Bruce Bellin is sitting next to Jan, his wife. Now, she had a phenomenal voice, really. She sounded exactly like Patsy Cline, if you know what I mean, a real gutsy noise. She gave up her career so she could be with Mickey Rooney in a program that he did, a live concert called One Man, One Wife Show. That's what he did to raise money for the museum. And of course, we paid him out of that. Well, they're singing, they're having a great time. And he keeps yelling at her, "Shut up, Jan. Nobody wants to hear you sing." We all wanted to hear her sing, but he wanted, it's funny, he wanted the attention, but once he got it, he pushed people away. Okay, we got up to the airport, right? And I forgot what the manager's name was at the time. He had a beautiful spread of food and a table where we could all sit. And he said, "I don't want to sit with anyone else." He said, "I demand my own table." Well, the manager found, got him a table so he didn't have to associate with everybody else. He put out his hand, I watched this, he put out his hand to shake his hand. Mickey Rooney refused to shake his hand. So I said, oh gosh, this is going real nice. we come back into town, and Mickey Rooney kind of takes off. Now, people were coming up to me and saying, you know, you better go here, here, and here, because Mickey Rooney is on a warpath. He was just being Mickey Rooney. So I couldn't find him. We didn't have cell phones. I couldn't find him. So I'm running all over town, and all I could get are people coming up and said, you better go over to, he just left over there. Well, they used to have a place where they